All right, thank you. Good morning still, everyone. Hope you're hungry. Great to be here today. We're absolutely thrilled. This is our first time with Art Culinaire magazine coming to the See-HAH-boot kitchen here at Google. And we, myself and Carol Newman, who's sitting right over here, publish a magazine that has been in existence for 28, going on 29 years. The magazine's called Art Culinaire. It's a hardbound magazine quarterly that has been showcasing the great chefs in the world. Carol had been the editor of the magazine for several years in its former life, and we were able to bring the magazine to California in May of last year. And Carol has the pleasure and honor of curating the chefs for the magazine, and in looking at who to talk about and who to discover and who's really interesting and provides great reading and beautiful food, it was not difficult in the early stages of our developing the material for the magazine that we centered on a young man in Oakland who is a fascinating fellow, handsome as all get out, benevolent and talented. I think I said that already, but I can't say it enough. So today we have James, and we'll have him repronounce his last name. It's See-HAH-boot from Commis. He has several restaurants. We'll talk about the different sort of iterations of his mind and personality as it translates into the restaurants he owns. The dish that he's doing today we'll talk about is a cured salmon dish that appears in Art Culinaire 113. I don't know if I mentioned the magazine yet. We'll have these available for James to sign for you at the end. The dish that we'll be doing today, again, the cured salmon dish, I've got it bookmarked here, will look exactly like this. Okay, and then after James tells you how to make it, you guys can run home and make it yourself and send us pictures to make sure that it looks exactly like this when you're cooking it in your homes, okay? I come from a family that moved to America. I was born after my family moved from Norway. And my sisters and I, our dear departed mother, had an extremely strong accent. And your organization built a server plant on the footprint of the aluminum plant my father used to manage. And when they came to this small town on the Columbia River in Oregon, my mom was very excited, and she has this affected accent. And if I say Google, it's actually, I can't help it, it's my mother's Norwegian accent, and she leaned on the O's like a big long search. So if I'm Googling, I'm thinking about my mother. The reason why I say that is because James has his mother is an incredibly important part of his life, and we're going to hand it over to James to talk about that primarily. The role of your mom in your adult life in business in Oakland. How does that work for you?
I'm a restaurant kid, so I grew up in restaurants, before I was a teenager. I wanted to cook since I was 10 professionally. I was a kid who was sitting on the stools in the mom and pop Thai restaurants, picking stems on Thai chilies, peeling garlic. Didn't have a normal weekend because my weekend was helping the family business. But I enjoyed what I was doing. I have no regrets at all. And then it took a turn with like TV and seeing like the great chefs of Europe, and it was so much different than what I've experiencing in my parents' restaurant. Who are these guys in these nice white starch jackets and cooking this beautiful food? And it was totally opposite of what my parents was doing. They were just Thai food. So it sparked my curiosity and decided to pursue it as a career. I went to culinary school. Definitely wasn't a highlight of my career, but I just started training. Manresa down in Los Gatos was somewhat my breeding ground. Been there for 5 years, and kind of sparked me to get more interested. So I took a trip to Europe for a year. And it was kind of like grad school for me, and ate out as much as I can, burning holes in all my credit cards, and was worth every penny of it. But going back full circle, like why I got involved in cooking, why I like cooking is, have anyone familiar with my restaurants at all? And they're all very different. If you notice, Commis to Hawker Fare to the dock, I've always been told, like, if you ever do something that you're really into it, have it reflect who you are. Commis really represents my training. It's kind of my discipline. It's the OCD part of me is Commis. That's my training. But the soulfulness of who I am, my identity is Hawker Fare, kind of cooking Thai street food, kind of rediscovering myself. And they say as you get older, you kind of gravitates towards your past and trying to identity search. So that's a big part of it for me right now is Hawker Fare. We're opening one. After I leave here, we're opening night at Hawker Fare San Francisco tonight. So we have a big night ahead of us. And then the dock, the dock is West Oakland. It's where I grew up. Oakland Public Schools all the way. Just kind of like a sense of community that people. Oakland gets a bad rap in general, but there's a beauty I see in West Oakland that no one else sees. My partner Adam Lamoureux opened the first brewery there in 50 years, and me and him partnered up and put a restaurant next door to it. And looking around the dock and conceptually, what is the dock? We're in the melting pot of the Bay Area, all the shipping containers, and we decided, let's make an international place. There's no rules. West Oakland, there's no rules in general. There's not a neighborhood doesn't exist. So who do we cater to? It's let's just do what we want. Take it from there. As long as the food's delicious, the vibe's great, build a sense of community, and we kind of took it and ran with it. Kind of exemplifies like my street hood years. We played lots of hip hop. We started doing shows there like Hieroglyphics Day with the Oakland hip hop band. So it come all full circle. So it's many compartments of myself per se. But Art Culinaire, so one of the magazines I worship as a kid. I think I have issues from number 50 until now. It's a quarterly magazine, idolizing all these chefs, and I was given a great opportunity to take part. And how could I say no? All the chefs I idolized in the past, and you name them, they're in there. So it was like a real blessing to be a part of it. In the book, we're going to do more what I do at Commis, which is a reflection of place and a time. It's a snapshot. The dish in the book, it was a spring dish, so it was like green tomatoes, wild salmon, wild coastal herbs that we foraged for, my cooks foraged for on the coast, up in the hills of Oakland. So it's like a landscape on the plate, an edible landscape. But today we're gonna kind of switch gears, doing the same dish, but I want to let you know it's more about the ideology of the dish and the philosophy and the train of thought, more so than the dish itself. Techniques can be utilized universally. You just swap out ingredients. That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing as chefs, and kind of adjusting to what your ingredient is, per se. So today we're going to do, we're still in the middle of winter, so kohlrabi. It is a swollen cabbage stem, Nebraska family, so same family as kale, cauliflower, spinach, broccoli romanesco. So we're going to do a soup with this, with dill, instead of green tomatoes.
And we've got dill and some.
It's a very simple dish. The more and more as I get older, I'm realizing the most simplest cooking is the hardest to do. I think we always think about sushi. It's just like fish and rice, but it's absolutely the hardest thing to get right. I think when I find myself sometimes I pile on ingredients. It's like maybe because I'm trying to hide something, and not let it be bare and kind of like speaks itself. Soup is really simple. Take some kohlrabi. Actually, we'll do the soup first because we'll take kohlrabi. I like to use the whole plant, if you will. There's also purple kohlrabi. It's just the skins. That's color and difference. The inside flesh is the same. So there's parts of the kohlrabi that you want to trim pretty deep, only because it's very fibrous. And being a commis, we want to make everything very elegant and very silky smooth. So all these fibers will kind of get in our way when you're trying to achieve that. You can also use a mandolin. I use mandolins all the time. I just watch your fingers. But even though we're cooking it in a soup, I still like to slice it very thin. It creates less work for the blender.
So the mandolin is a slicing device. It is a plane with a blade in it that allows you to slice very, very thin without taking any of your knuckles or fingers with whatever you're slicing very, very thin. I like to use those for making potato chips and things like that.
So I like to use, in commis, we cook very light, very minimal butter. Not so much scorching heat because we want to still remain intact the integrity of the vegetable. So everything sits really gently sweated. So this is just grapeseed oil. Grapeseed is the most neutral oil that you can probably get. It doesn't impart any flavor, but it's a fat. It'll help you. Just slices of kohlrabi.
And grapeseed oil burns at a higher temperature, lower temperature than olive oil or a canola oil?
It smokes at a higher temperature. So ideally, I use grapeseed oil for flavoring, making flavored oils. Like we're going to make our dill oil with grapeseed.
Where did you buy that?
The grapeseed oil? Kohlrabi, Whole Foods, farmers markets will have it right now.
It's fairly widely available. It's a very stable vegetable. It stays in its ripe state for a very long time, so it's easy for people to stock them in stores. So it's really versatile, and again, will be in the produce. It'll stay fresh in the produce section for a long time. You start to smell it a little bit. It's good.
With seasoning, I like to season throughout my cooking. Some people like to season at the end only because I like to create some depth with salt. Also, salt allows you to draw moisture from the ingredient, from whatever vegetable you have. So really highlight, just like a little small pinch. Just be careful not to color.
So James, you guys, you really encourage an atmosphere of collaboration at Commis. In particular, the menu is constantly changing. Where at Hawker Fare, they're foods from your youth, and the menu is relatively consistent as you would go there from one month to the next to another year. But in Commis, it's you spoke of this being a spring dish, that the menu is evolving daily, and that involves, and you've got a lot of collaboration going. People here are collaborating on projects all the time. How do you accept things, and how do you politely decline an idea?
At Commis, we believe we don't cook on a timeline per se. People say, "Oh, how often you change the menu?" I'm like, I couldn't tell you. It depends what shows up tomorrow. It depends what shows up 2 days later, what we have, or what one of my cooks found hiking in the woods, or Morgan went out surfing in Santa Cruz and found some beach herbs. So it kind of all depends. We look at the menu as like a breathing, its own thing. It's living and breathing. So we print menus every day. The menu is always a surprise to the guests. So we never present menus. We just ask for dietary restrictions, and then kind of off we go. But collaboration is a big part, only because I like to give my cooks a sense of ownership. I think it's very important when you're creating something. Yes, I'm the mentor. Yes, it's my restaurant, but I want to give them a sense of ownership. So a lot of the dishes, they have a voice in it. You know, I'll have this crazy idea. I'll say, Keone, oxtails and blueberry powder. Make it happen, you know? And he'll just like, oh, okay, how about like a little thyme cream and burnt milk? And I was like, yeah, sounds great. We don't know till, you do it. So yeah, so it's a good part. And then when the dish becomes fully realized, he feels like he has ownership, or there's a piece of him in there, and he's like really proud of that dish. We have an open kitchen, so a lot of the food get brought to the table by the cooks as well. So it's kind of taking another step, eliminating that bridge between like the diner and the kitchen as well. I think that's very, very unique and cool. Back to the soup, I add a little bit of water. Sometimes I use vegetable stock if I have it on hand, just like a little gentle simmer. I'm gonna let that go. The greens, I use the greens at the last minute in my soup. It gives it color, and also, so this is gonna be cooked until like a mush, so it's like overdone. The greens, the leafy greens, more vegetal, I throw in the end right before I blend it, and it kind of gives it that raw vegetable taste that I can't get if I just blended raw vegetables. So it's kind of like cheating in a way.
And it picks up color to create this beautiful contrast in the dish from this brilliant red fish and some green in the soup that is hosting the fish. So it's a striking contrast in color.
And because I'm blending it raw, I'm even chopping this even finer because I don't want to cook it. I'm just going to throw it in my blender, throw my soup in, puree it, pass it.
So be careful. There sounds like there'll be a lot of throwing going on here in a few minutes.
Not literally. So while that's going, I'll set this aside.
So gosh, you're opening a new restaurant tonight in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Did you sweat before you came here, and now you're,
I've been
or are
like,
you?
I've been sweating 5 years ago when I opened Commis.
How long did it take you to plan opening up that new restaurant?
The Hawker SF, I was never ever conceived. I was actually in Thailand in September when someone approached me with an idea. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, you're dreaming, whatever. Yeah. So I got back in October, and we sat down, and it was like, put some ink on paper, and I'm like, okay, off we go. And 3 months later, we're opening a restaurant in the Mission. Yeah. Valencia and 18th, right next door to Luna Park. I don't know much about San Francisco, but everyone tells me it's like the eye of the storm right now, as far as like demographics and things like that. So I grew up in Oakland all my life, so it's...
So you've only been coming across the bridge heading west in the last couple of months then? You've never gone across the bridge before?
Exactly. The first couple months I was getting frustrated because I'm so spoiled having ample parking in Oakland and not getting tickets, and it's just like, it was just no fun at all. But I got used to it, really, really fast. I had to. I didn't have a choice. So we want to cure our salmon in the meantime. In curing salmon, pretty much making gravlax. The way I cure salmon is I still like to have it taste somewhat itself, like almost like raw. I don't want to take it too far where it's like gravlax and all you taste is salt and sugar and spices. So I usually just like do, depending on the thickness of salmon, it's like a 1 hour cure. I usually do 2 parts salt to 1 part sugar. Sugar helps retains moisture. Salt draws moisture, so it kind of gives and pull. If it's just all salt, it'll be all salty and it'll be dry. I'm just going to eyeball it here. Feel free to be creative. That's the whole thing. Sometimes I will put lemon zest in here. black pepper, coriander, and when curing salmon, I've seen techniques where you pack it with salt heavily. I just like a light sprinkle. Just like, as you're just heavily seasoning something. You don't have to like dump it on. Usually I do it with skin-on salmon, because it's much more easier to slice. But we're just gonna work with this. And just let that sit in the refrigerator for an hour or so.
Covered, wrapped up tightly in wax paper,
Exactly.
plastic. Any weight on it? Some
No,
people
just
will
as
put
is.
weight on fish to help the curing process.
Yeah, we kind of want the salmon to be kind of unadulterated
Okay.
in this state.
And you're using king salmon or Chinook salmon in this case?
We usually use wild steelhead when it's in season, coming from like Oregon or so. We try not to use farm salmon, only because the flavors, to me, it's nothing special. You can get it year round, but when salmon like season, like local king salmon we use ivory salmon, which is like more ivory flesh from Alaska. That's really fantastic, high in fat. But no, king salmon is just as good. Like farm salmon, it's just fattier, only because they don't run wild. But I think the most flavor comes from like Quinault River, sockeye, wild salmon. Put this aside there.
And in preparing the fish, are you taking bones out along the spine line of the fish, or you?
Yes, I usually take pin bone the fish, or your fishmonger can do it for you. But you can do it yourself. It depends. Like we get salmon that are like 20 pounds, so it's a big piece. So the kohlrabi is somewhat tender. Like I said, I'm gonna add the leaves just so, and just bring it back to a boil, just a scald.
I can't really see. Is there still water left, or did it all boil out?
You can adjust with more water, because the trick is you want to get the soup as thick as you can, and you can always adjust. It's harder to take it away.
So the question was about how much liquid is still in the pan, and there is a ratio of, I'd say, a third liquid to 2/3 of the kohlrabi. That liquid will need to be in there to help emulsify in the blender to help create that soup. So it's not gone dry, it's not steamed dry. There's still liquid in there, and you'll see it.
There's a trick with blending soups. I like to leave the blender on for like 5 minutes, like very long time.
And would you say when you're furnishing your home, is the first thing you get a couch or a Vitamix VitaPrep 3?
That's a good question. That's a good question. See how green it is? Yeah, you wouldn't get that if you already cook everything. Like again, I'm adjusting this recipe to kohlrabi. Kohlrabi, cabbage, you think like sauerkraut and things like that. I like to add a little bit, just a touch of sour cream, kind of give it some smoothness. It also acts as like emulsifier as well.
Now, if Julia Child was here, that would have been a pound of butter. He's used
Yeah.
about a tablespoon of sour
what
cream.
did she say?
here.
Like moderation, but a whole lot of it? Yeah, that was always a good one. So just let it go. I won't go for 5 minutes. Just throw it in, bring it up, scald it, and then that's it.
Just a kind of a real hard blanch almost to soften a little bit, fix color, not let the color fade in too much cooking, and keep the green element in flavor and in color to the dish. And it's just beautiful. It looks like it's plugged in right now. It's battery-powered soup.
And then you would want to chill it immediately because you don't want to overcook the leaves. It turns out that army greenish color and
Pardon me,
loses
let me take
freshness.
this out of the
Sorry
way
about
here so they can see your
So we got
handsome
our
face.
soup, and then we're gonna make dill oil. Herb oils in general, grapeseed oil. I usually do equal parts by weight. We cook in metric at the restaurants, only because it's more accurate. A cup of sugar or a cup of flour. It depends how much you fill that cup, or it could be how dry it is. But with weight, doesn't lie. So with dill oil, just lightly chop. Maybe someone grab me another chinois. Stems and all, it's fine. We'll save some for garnish. And dill oil is one of those things where it could be in your pantry staple, like herb oils, chili oils, basil oil. We usually have like a library of different oils. It's another way we preserve seasons, actually, like bay leaf flowers. From bay leaves, it comes like maybe 2 weeks in a year. The whole team, like 6 of us, we go out to the Oakland Hills, grab bags of bay leaf flowers, pick them all, make oil with it, dehydrate it, and we have it for the rest of the year. It's kind of taking advantage of our landscape, per se. Let's see, she has chinois for me, chef? Okay. So, it's pretty simple. Blanching locks in the color of the dill. And also denatures the filaments a little, makes it more tender, so you get a smoother puree as well. I need to get the taste.
Always taste. And clean spoons.
So it's like it's a cold dish because you don't want the salmon to be cooked. And then can somebody grab me a thing of dill oil already made up there at the top, the green bowl? So this is dill oil that we made. We blanch the dill, wring out all the water as much as we can. Which is really important because you don't want oil and water doesn't mix. And water will actually help oxidize the dill oil. And we let it sit. And what happens is we decanter it and pass it through a cheesecloth. So we get this like vibrant green. You can pass that around extra oil.
So what would you call it? It's not infused. It's not dill infused oil.
It's pretty much infused, yeah. Because we're getting all the essential oils.
So the question was, would this be terminology would be infused oil? And yes, it would be considered infused oil. The other thing is, if you're making oils at home like this, how long would you recommend keeping those?
If you keep it in a refrigeration with no light, 3 months.
So you could set up a large bottle of oil with a set of infusions and keep them cool and dark for a long period of time, and use a drop or two on top of whatever it was you were doing that would be germane to that flavor and enhance that flavor.
Yeah, it also freezes really well because oil doesn't freeze. But
so if you were making then Bloody Marys and you wanted dill oil ice cubes in your, or oil ice cubes, you could do that too. That would be fun on every day, but. Every day, I think.
Can I have one of those bowls for plating?
And of course, in the full recipe that James had submitted to us is in the book. So all the, he eyeballed the salt and sugar. The measurements are in the recipe in the book for this dish.
It's so funny. Like when I start cooking Thai food again. Which I never thought in my wildest dreams. I kind of disowned my heritage, just growing up. But it was just I was doing it all wrong. It's a total opposite discipline. I'm watching my mom cook with her hands, just measuring, handful of sugar, handful of this, handful of that. But it actually shows like instinct, The reason why we measure things is because in fine dining, it's more of a science per se. It's all about ratios and whatnot. But with Thai cooking, it's very instinctual. You know what the ingredients taste like. It's all bottled sauces. It's like a little mixology, right? It's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Everyone makes their sauces totally different, and that's where where I'm at. We're coming to learn. Like, sometimes you kind of get too geeked out on food, and it takes this, I think the soul gets removed from it, and there's nothing wrong with having instinct and like owning it. Anyone could read, anyone that could follow a recipe with a scale, but I think it's all about making that dish like your own. So don't ever be afraid to, throw in your own ideas. Leave some things out that you don't like, add something in that you do like. Trust me, we have many failures at Commis. There's some dishes that's like, oh, it's gross. It's great ideas on paper.
Yeah. It's just a churn. When we make ice cream at home and it doesn't work, it goes away, and we say it's just a churn.
Yeah,
if you don't like what you've cooked, it's just a dish. Start over and learn from it.
I think one of my pastry chefs, for New Year's Eve at Commis, I don't write the menu at all. I'm totally hands off. And all my chefs write the menus, and their name is on the dish. And one of the dishes was, the pastry chef wanted to do coffee and cigarettes for New Year's Eve at the end of the meal. So I think it was like chocolate ganache and like tobacco ice cream. It was disgusting. It was gross.
Hopefully it was after midnight and no one cared.
But we figured out the way. It was too much nicotine. We used cigarettes as cigars. So we found like a nice Cuban cigar. The dish actually went on the menu. It just needs some like finessing. I blanched out the nicotine a couple of times. So like I said, it's collaboration work. It starts with an idea, and then we keep working on an idea to nothing gets lost or just gets thrown out. It kind of gets filed for revisiting until we can't like figure out no more. It's like, all right.
So, buddy, in the interest of time, we'll have some questions, and if we can dish this up.
Yes, let's do it.
And take questions and get you guys fed. Yay! And take and learn more about what's on your mind after this discussion.
Did you taste that yet? I didn't taste it.
Hi, I'm wondering how the San Francisco Hawker Fair is going to be different from the Oakland Hawker Fair.
We have a much larger kitchen. We went under kind of more rebranding, and there's a lot more like curries and soups, a lot more like chili dips. The ambiance is totally different, so it's kind of Hawker Fair grew up. The original Hawker Fair had graffiti, and I got rid of that, so it looks like more of a night market now. It's the same menu plus a bunch of other different items. My chef de cuisine is originally from Bangkok, so he comes from a different point of reference as far as Thai food. I'm from the east, from Ubon, close to Laos. So it's like much drier climate. Everything's more funky. Everything's spicier. So me and him always butt heads. So that's why like the Hawker Fair in San Francisco, we have a Thai style som tam, and we also have like a Lao style som tam. So one's like more sweet with peanuts and dried shrimp. The other one's like sour and like funky with like shards of salted crab in it. And yeah.
So sounds like you're really spread thinly with so many places you're working on right now. What's your role in each place? That's like the first part of the question. Do you just oversee? Do you come and try? And then where is home for you? Which place do you go to and actually like cook and enjoy and like create?
It's a really good question.
It depends on my mood. It depends where I'm out of touch. But my role overall is, I'm kind of holding hands, kind of guiding them through all the concepts, and then kind of pushing them to do research or new dishes. I took my chef from Hawker Fair Oakland to Thailand for a month, and that's all we did was ate out. So I'm more of a facilitator for them. I kind of come up with the ideas, help put systems in place, and I just hold their hands. And for me, where's home for me? Depends on my mood. Like some days I just want to wear jeans and sneakers and a t-shirt and go more and pencil some papaya salad. Some days I want to put my tweezers out and put on a starched chef's coat. and get geeked out on using a scale and liquid nitrogen. So I go through modes. I mean, I think I'm very fortunate I have those outlets, which is very helpful because when I'm at one restaurant, I'm actually looking at the other restaurant from the outside point of view. Sometimes I'm at Commis, I'm working on dishes for Hawker Fair, and I will serve it as staff meal. They were like get feedback from them. But yeah, I mean, I would love to be at Commis every day. It's kind of my sanctuary. Everything's like all white. There's no art. I can think clear. Everything's very calm. Everything's very. There's no surprises per se at Commis. For Hawker Fair, there's always an element of surprise. It's fast paced. It's bustling, but sometimes you need that too. Kind of get the awake your senses, get the pulse going. So I'm very, very fortunate. I have those two different outlets to run to.
Okay, and a question here?
Hi, Chef. So I live right around the corner from Box and Bells, unfortunately, is closed.
Yeah.
I was curious, what do you think didn't work about that restaurant? I thought it was wonderful, but obviously didn't seem to connect.
Sometimes you're, as a chef, you're really passionate about something and you kind of want to just stick to your guns. And, I really wanted a place where it was like a very meat-centric place, awful. Our opening menu was awesome, but it was not for everyone. There was like blood pudding poutine on there and ribeye for two with snails, choucroute garni. We made our own sausages. It was awesome. It was either people who love it or hate it. It depends on the neighborhood, and a financial model too. With being Rock Ridge, you need to be more in the middle, what I find, and that's something like I couldn't get myself to do. And I want to stand behind the food I cook. And I think same for the cooks too. I'm like, are we excited about doing this? Or, yes, we're in hospitality, you want to but we're slaving behind the stoves for 16-hour days. Let's make ourselves happy here. I mean, come on, let's not lie to ourselves. So unfortunate, but time and place for everything. So.
Favorite restaurant in Oakland? What's one of yours?
I like to go to our pizza, like Charlie Hollowell's places, like Boot and Shoe Service and Pizza Olo. I love going to those places. My kids, I have a 3-year-old and a 18-month-old, so it's like our staple go-to. It's just fantastic. It's easygoing. It's just delicious, like home-cooked meal. It's very representative of a home-cooked meal in that genre of like Chez Panisse and whatnot. So.
Let's finish the dish, and then we can, Victoria can get the books for people for you to sign.
So one thing, like after it's like cured, you could rinse it. Cold water.
So the sugar and the salt have been sort of cooking the fish a little bit. And now to let as James was talking about earlier, he wanted the flavor of the fish to rule this, not the flavor of salt and sugar.
What we do at Commis is we remove the fat from the salmon, only because it makes it too fishy.
So that's the skin side of the skin side of the fish that you're trimming the part that was next to the skin. Clean the fish up a little bit.
And the loin is actually going to be a lot leaner than the belly piece, so kind of pick and choose what you like. It's like small bite-sized pieces. I'm going to do 2 pieces.
About 1-inch cubes, something like that, looks like.
So usually put a little bit like a finishing, like a coarse sea salt. A little bit of dill oil. And then usually we have microgreens today, but usually it's like all kinds of herbs. Like herbs right now that we find in the hills. It could be like chickweed, ground elder, yarrow, New Zealand spinach, tetragon. So it could be sometimes up to like 30 different herbs, and that we just picked. And sometimes we buy too from like a farmer in Sebastopol, and from like Anna's Hitsop, and things like that. But these are kind of like, I like licorice, so I always tend to go for more like licorice flavored herbs, which wasn't the case when I was younger, because you kind of grow up. You can put some dill in there as well. Always serving like a nice cold bowl. It's very refreshing. And then I think we pair this with like a dry Riesling at work.
Dry Riesling with
Yeah.
that? Fantastic.
Yeah, so it's kind of like really simple.
So one more time, thanks everyone for coming today.
Thank you.